guess the proof. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Beaver and today we are finding out whether or not you can guess the proof by shaking your jars. Now if you ever spent any time on the social media side of things and you watch home distillers, you will see them shaking their jars and asking you to guess the proof. So in today's video we're going to have a look at different proofs. We're going to be shaking them and trying to figure out if we can guess the proof of a jar of liquor by shaking it. First and foremost, what we have in front of us is 5 jars, each proofed down using a hydrometer to an exact proof of 50 proof, 100 proof, 120, 150 and 180. So the theory is that by shaking each of these jars there will be a marked difference between the bubbles that are created, the time it takes for the bubbles to dissipate, and by doing this over and over you will learn how to gauge the proof of each of these jars by just shaking it. Now me personally, I have never really done this to guess the proof of my liquor, but I took the last couple of weeks, made up these 5 jars and spent a good amount of time trying to figure out if there is any validity to that test, and here are my results. Yes, you can see a difference, but it's going to take a hell of a long time to actually be able to take a jar that you have no idea on what the actual proof is and just shaking it and then getting the proof. So what I'll be doing in this video is we're going to be shaking each of these jars. I'll be showing you slow motions of each of the shakes, and then I'll be comparing all of them together to show you the different proofs. In my opinion, I do not really see this being a really valid way of testing proof. A hydrometer or an alcometer will be a lot more accurate if you want to do this correctly. But if you want to learn this technique, stick around and let's get into the actual science behind it, or the timing behind it, and how I managed to gauge the different proofs of each of these jars. So let's drop down, get up close and personal with all of these jars. We're going to be shaking them individually. I'll be talking about a little bit of the things that I noticed while shaking them, and then we're going to put all of them together and you can see the difference, and hopefully this will help you to be able to shake a jar and tell the proof when the video is done. First up we have 50 proof. Now this should, if you shake it, give you a nice frothy head. You'll see the bubbles are quite small, and also the liquid on the inside stays nice and cloudy for a good period of time. When shaking it, it should all dissipate within about 4 seconds, and then you have a clear liquid. So this is 50 proof. Next up, 100 proof. So when you shake the 100 proof, what you'll see is a lot less foamy head or foamy bubbles. The bubbles are slightly larger in size, and they also dissipate within about 3 seconds, as well as the liquid doesn't stay cloudy for a very long time. So that is 100 proof. Next up, 120 proof. Now if you shake 120 proof, you'll see very small bubbles forming, with the big bubbles popping almost immediately. They're less than a second they spend on the surface, and the liquid on the inside also clears up really quickly. Then we're going for 150 proof. Now the 150 proof, once you shake it, it makes big bubbles, but they disappear quite quickly in the center, but they tend to stick around on the side of the jar for quite a bit of time. Now last but not least, we've got a 180 proof jar. Now this is going to be really quick. So if you shake it, it makes big bubbles and all of them almost immediately disappear. So this is a high proof liquor, and the bubbles almost immediately go away, and none of them stick around on the side of the jar, indicating that it's quite high proof. So less than a second on the surface and all the bubbles are gone. So let's quickly get a slow-mo of these guys, and then we will be going over what we noticed while shaking them, as well as a couple of tips and tricks that I found to make it easy for you to be able to gauge the proof. So now that we've seen the slow-mo, and we can actually see there is a vast difference between all of those, and we can actually see the bubbles dissipating and stick around on the surface, as well as the liquid itself changing from opaque to a clear liquid, each of these taking a different period of time. By repetition and practice, you should be able to get close to the proof, but not 100% as accurate as you would if you'll be using a hydrometer. Yes, it's a cool way, and it is quite a good party trick if you are able to actually do this for real. But let me quickly give you a couple of things that I picked up that made it easier for me to pick up on the ABVs of each of these products. Number one, do not overshake your jar. You're going to give it about 2, maybe 3 quick shakes, and then keep it still to see the liquid changing and the bubbles forming. If you're going to shake it a lot, you're going to incorporate way too much air into it, and the result is going to be different. So try and keep it the same between your different jars. Shake it 3 times, 2, maybe 3 times, and then have a look at it, and then repeat it once the bubbles have disappeared. You'll be able to have a baseline of how many shakes and how long, and you can count it in your head, and this will be able to give you a good indication. The next thing that I picked up is the amount of liquid that you have in your bottle. If the bottle is way too full and you only have a small little bubble to look at, your results will differ. So for me, about half or 2/3 of the bottle full, and then you shake it, gives you a good result. It's a nice big surface area, and the bubbles actually take a little bit longer to dissipate, giving you a better time frame or resolution to have a look at the changes and to be able to identify the liquid. And lastly, make sure that the temperature of all of your bottles are the same when you're going to be shaking them. The reason for this is that liquid temperature will change the way the bubbles are formed. If it's too cold, the liquid will be thicker, and that will result in the bubbles sticking around for a longer period of time. So make sure everything is at the same temperature, whether it's room temperature or just coming off the still, it is up to you. But if everything is the same temperature, you will be able to actually gauge the liquid bubble formation, and then you'll be able to count in your head to indicate what temperature or what ABV your product is at. Now, I'll reiterate this. This is not a foolproof way of gauging proof. I suggest, if you're going to be doing this hobby, invest in a hydrometer so that you can test your proof more accurately. But if you just want to play around and learn this technique, then yeah, it's a lot of fun to learn, and I learned quite a lot about it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a lucky day.